Hello and welcome to the EV Café Takeaway, a podcast focused on that zero-emission future we all hope for. And today I am joined by one of the wonderful team from the EV Café, John Curtis. Welcome, John.
Well, greetings, and excuse me, but I am slowly dying here of man flu. So if I do go onto mute or disappear or just become a heap of bones on the floor, don't be at all surprised.
No, we are never surprised when that happens with you, John, to be fair. But most importantly, we are joined by innovators, pioneers, and collaborators within our industry. And I'm telling you now, we have got one of those right here now in the wonderful Will Reeves, Head of Commercial Vehicles. I'm going to call you for the SMMT, which is an acronym. We don't allow those. It's the Society of the Motor Manufacturers and Traders. Will, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Paul. Hi, John.
Hello.
Well, that's a very subdued start for Will. Will is not of the subdued type. We know this. He is normally very excitable. Will, it's great to have you on. And I know that you've been with the SMMT for some time, and they've obviously been instrumental, really, in the CV show for many, many years. But Will, tell us, one, what you do at the SMMT, and also really how your relationship with the commercial vehicle show has come about and grown over the years.
Thank you, Paul. Yes, I'm Will Reeves. I'm the commercial vehicle section manager for SMMT, the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders. And you're right, we represent the whole of the automotive industry. But what my role at the SMMT is to represent commercial vehicles, buses, coaches, and minibuses for the industry. So I represent them, host meetings for them, get them talking to each other and building relationships, which is really key. And that is what the CV show is about. We're one of the three partners, along with other industry partners, the Road Haulage Association and the Institute of Road Transport Engineers, who are managed by the SOE. And we put on the CV show, and it's been running since 2000. And it's a show that's by the industry for the industry. And it's the fact that it's these three key partners that are delivering the show that is so important, we believe, because it represents the industry. And my role at SMMT is pivotal to that because it's the showcase for commercial vehicles in the UK. So it's where all of our members can take their products, their zero-emission vehicles, their vans, their trucks, their band converters, telematics, tires, all of that, and they can showcase everything in one place under one roof in Birmingham in April.
It's so exciting, and I'm just expressing the excitement that I showed as you were doing that, because I know John wants to get in, and rightly so.
I do.
So I'm going to get, but I just wanted to. It's just so exciting. Go on, John.
Okay,
Come on, John.
Then back to planet Earth. What I'm wondering, is you've mentioned that you look after commercial vehicles, buses, coaches, minibuses. Am I right in thinking that's your area of expertise? And then there's also trucks and vans as well, which is not something you look after, or do you look after the whole bang shoot?
Yeah, anything that's not car, basically. So if it's
Perfect.
those little vehicles that go around on four wheels, that's not me. So it's commercial vehicles. We're talking about light commercial vehicles, which the smaller 2-ton vans, up to the 44-ton trucks. Yes, that's commercial vehicles for us. And then, of course, the buses, coaches, and minibuses. You understand that.
Now, 1 in 20 vans are currently electric. 1 in 100 HGVs are electric. How is it going in the other areas of the commercial sector? So the buses, coaches, because I don't get a sense that there are huge amounts. I live in Falkirk in Scotland. We have Alexander Dennis, who are building the BYD buses, which are fully electric. But what else is happening?
Well, it's interesting you should say that, John, because in the bus sector, the UK has the largest zero-emission bus market there is. Last year, we had the largest number of zero-emission buses sold compared to anywhere in the UK in Europe, which is fantastic. So we can learn from the bus market for the truck market. And it's funny you mentioned Falkirk, you're right, because there is a bus manufacturer up there. And you mentioned another chassis manufacturer, they're actually going to start building their own chassis in Scotland as well. They've got a new factory opening soon. So the whole of the bus, the double-decker bus, will be built in Scotland. We won't be importing the chassis from China anymore. Fantastic. So we just need those orders for Zebra 2 to be placed with whoever. But yeah, that would be really, really great for Scotland. But yeah, I cover all that sort of stuff.
So it's exciting times. I mean, this industry is growing exponentially. I think the challenge is that really not very many people pay attention to it. You see a bus, you think bus. You don't think diesel bus, you don't think electric bus, you just think, oh, good, bus. And actually, part of your job, I guess, is encouraging people to be more discerning about what they use and how they use it, and knowing that they can use decarbonised transport, and it's every bit as effective as a diesel alternative.
Well, we can use decarbonised transport for our bus journeys, you're right. And more green buses are being funded by the government through the Zebra funding. So more and more passengers can get those green journeys, which is brilliant. Another area where we can personally start to see the difference is with refuse trucks. More and more refuse trucks are going green. So we can actually know that our waste, our rubbish is being collected by zero emission vehicles. And we know that, we can see that. But what we could also do is start thinking, when we buy products online, will they be delivered by a zero emission vehicle, like the commercial vehicle? When we walk to the shops and we buy things, we walk back home, there's no emissions, is there? So when we're ordering online, maybe we should be thinking, how is this going to be delivered to us? So all those online supermarkets, they're placing large orders, as we've seen recently, for zero emission vans. So we should be thinking, actually, is my delivery going to start coming green? But at some point, we'll stop thinking that, because it would become the norm. And we would just know that the majority of the light commercial vehicles now are going to be delivering in zero emission vehicles. So yeah, it's exciting times ahead for how it's all going to change for all of us. And I think we should all be thinking, when will this be zero emission next? Either this, that, or the other.
And I think you're absolutely right, Will. We're very close to it, right? We see it. You're seeing it right at the inception, really. Talking to the OEMs even before they put the vehicles out. I'm often very jealous of many of the things that you get to see that I don't. But that's life. But the exciting thing is that it's all happening. What are the challenges? Because look, this isn't happening. I mean, this very day. Obviously, as you are listening to it, listeners, it will have been somewhat in the past. But this very day, I was down at the DFT with Anthony Brown MP, and talking to them about the transitional van plan, the zero emission van plan, trying to influence and encourage real focused thought on vans particularly, but I think equally it will be trucks as well. What are the challenges that we've got, that we're facing, that need change and need shaking up?
Well, I love it, Paul, that you just dropped a big name there like that. So the Minister
Shameless.
of Transport, Anthony Brown. I know, isn't it shameless? I love it. I was just meeting with him at the DFT. Wonderful.
Yeah,
It's just around the corner from our office.
back,
Yeah. SMMT, we're just there. We can see their offices from here. So,
I
anyway,
should have
let's
popped in for a
not
cup
talk
of
about
tea.
the meetings we're having. Lovely, I love it. Let me just pick that name up off the floor. Anyway, so the challenges for the industry. So there's different challenges for different sectors, but like commercial vehicle sector, we're getting there with the number of registrations, but we've now got the ZEV mandate for light commercial vehicles. The OEMs have sales quotas they have to meet: 10% this year, 16% next year. Those are, that's going to be the challenge for the OEMs for light commercial vehicles this year, to get those sales in. So it's really important that operators go to shows like the commercial vehicle show in April, look at the zero emission vehicles, go to the seminars at the 3-day seminar theatre, where there's one on introducing a zero emission LCV fleet. Go to that, pick up some tidbits for what they need to do, and place some orders. Just try out 1 or 2 light vans if you haven't got any already. Just place some orders to help the OEMs. But the heavy vehicle sector, the challenge is even bigger, because most of the trucks charge back at the depot, and of course, charging infrastructure at the depot is a real problem. So we need government support to unlock that infrastructure problem. And they've already got a van plan. Well, you're asking for a van plan, but they've already come forward what they consider to do with vans. But what we're asking for is a truck plan from the government. And that's really hopefully what we're going to get this year, is actually what the government are going to do about trucks, charging infrastructure at the depot, but also on the public highway at the motorway service stations.
I think it's a joint thing. What we're seeing. I was talking to Welsh's Transport. You all know Welsh's Transport, the truck people that are putting some infrastructure and making it available to other parties through software and access rights and different things. And I think if we can,
You're right, Paul. If I can come in there, Paul, you're right. Shared infrastructure is really good. You're right to talk to Welsh about that, because if you look at bus, there's somewhere in St Helens, there's a bus depot on one side and there's a council depot on the other, and both of them have hydrogen vehicles. But they're like, what they need is a hydrogen refueling station. Well, it'd be great if there was one nearby, or say if the council decided to build one on their plot, that they could be used as shared infrastructure. So the SMMT do have a paper coming out about shared infrastructure and things like that. The need for that.
I don't like to go on, but we've been doing that in Scotland since 2010, when I put in an electrolyser for First Bus Stagecoach, the Scottish Police, and local authorities. And it's nothing new, but it's hard to make happen, isn't it? To get those companies wanting to collaborate, because by nature, we're quite selfish. I've got to look after my buses. So it's about understanding your business and your journey cycles, and when you'll need the infrastructure and when you can share it with others.
The drive to net zero is going to need collaboration. It's going to need all stakeholders. So the operators, the power companies, the trade associations, everything like that. We all need to come together with government to really drive to net zero. Big C, collaboration.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think collaboration is critical, and you've highlighted that perfectly. So, Will, I think we've kind of got a picture of this passionate man that is wanting to make a difference, right? That is collaborating wherever you can, and I'm testament to that. I see it. I see your videos. We'll come on to that in a bit, and we see all of this stuff you going on. But I mean, surely you didn't just appear. How did you end up? Because did you start out your automotive career in the Society of Engineers, or was there stuff before that? I can only go back that far. So I don't know. I don't know if there's beyond the watershed or something. But how did you get into the automotive sector? And are you an engineer at heart? What is it that drives you?
Well, firstly, Paul, don't call me Shirley. So that's the first thing.
Old airplane joke there, kids.
Gotta get in there. Dear me.
Anyway, so my background, I did arts management degree at South Bank University. I worked in some cultural institutions in the early 2000s, and that gave me a full understanding of what fundraising and membership, what it could play. And then in 2005, a lady called Marion Kelly gave me a job at the Society of Operations Engineers. They're one of the partners of the CV show who run IRTE. And she took me on as a membership executive. And that's where I started to deal more with heavy vehicles around that time. And I was at the SOE for 7 years and had a great time. And then in 2011, another lady called Pippa Atwood gave me a job at the Freight Transport Association, as it used to be called. She headhunted me and asked me to go and work for them to do sponsorship of their events, because they put on quite a number of events each year. Again, it was heavy vehicle sector and things like that. But fundamentally, I love transport. I love anything that is moving people or goods. And anyone that knows me knows that I love steam trains, which I know isn't really zero emission. But we won't talk. We gloss over that because they're just beautiful machines, aren't they?
So
yeah, no, absolutely.
So you've had an interesting career within transport. What's the thing that you've delivered, the thing that you're most proud of? And, if anybody was to say what runs through your DNA, what's the project or thing that you've done where you're really you bristle? You kind of go, yeah, that was me.
That's an interesting one, John, because I hadn't expected you to ask that. So
I know. I go off script sometimes. Deal with it.
I love it. So I guess the proudest thing is the work I've been doing at the SMMT since I started just under 2 years ago. And one of the things that I really felt I could do when I came in was actually to focus on more on commercial vehicles and things like that. And we've come up with this scheme called Meet the Van Converter. So you have the light commercial vehicle OEMs on one side who want to sign up more van partners, like bodybuilders, converters, people like that. And we have an event where they do one-to-one speed dating with each other, and it builds business partnerships. And there's real, business relationships come out of that one day. We had a pilot event last year, and we're doing another event this July in our building. And that is what the SMMT is all about, is building business partnerships and having the sector grow. So I would say that's the one thing at the SMMT that I'm really proud of. And of course, at the SMMT, I lead on the CV show. So it's making sure the stand looks great, making sure we have our drinks reception on the Tuesday. So anyone that's a CV show wants to come by the SMMT at 3:30, have a glass of bubbles with us, you're welcome. So
We'll be
make sure you're there. And I'll get plenty in for you, John. Oh no, you don't drink, do you? So
no, Paul can have mine.
I'll have John's. Definitely. No,
Yeah.
I mean, Will, it's super cool because what I've seen since you've joined the SMMT, and I've known of the SMMT for many years, right? So I was at Mercedes-Benz for a number of years back in the early 2000s, and then with LeasePlan and stuff like that. Although the LeasePlan obviously don't work with the SMMT, but we did at coming to the dinners and all of those kinds of things for many years. So SMMT has always been on my radar. In fact, many years ago, back in 2000, we had an almost deal done to sell and lease back the fleet. So I remember coming to the square where it is or was. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Bob's house. Yeah.
But I guess the point is that there has been a change since you joined. I think you and it might be because of LinkedIn, and it might be because of my visibility of you as an individual prior to you arriving at the SMMT. But I think you've brought a different kind of tone to it, and vlogging, and when did all of that start, and why did you seek to do that? It's a great medium. I love what you do, and it's always an encouragement to me to see somebody daft enough to do the same or similar things as I do. But what started you, and why did you do it?
So you're right. Since I've come into the SMMT, Nigel Bass, who did the role prior to me for 10, 11 years, did a great job. And but I've come in, and it's like, I don't want to just replicate what he's doing, but what I've brought is, I had lots of contacts, or not as 20,000 like you, Paul, but I have 5,000 contacts on LinkedIn. I had a presence on Twitter, or X as it's now called. So I thought, what can I do to help raise the profile of the commercial vehicle, bus, coach, and minibus sectors to the industry? And you're right, short, informative videos on LinkedIn is a new way of getting that information across. And the first one I did was at the CV show last year, and I don't know if you remember it, but there was 10 vehicle launches at the CV show last year. So I went round and I did a short little video of all of the vehicles that have been, all the light commercial vehicles that have been launched. And my final thing was the mammoth, or the chamoth, sorry, from Iveco, which was a mixture between a cheetah and a mammoth, which was great. And I finished the video with getting a little twink on the bum from the horn. So and it went down. Honestly, it was very feisty. It was a very feisty chamoth, and you should watch it. Anyway, I've gone all red now. But Paul, what you do with a GoPro, just with a GoPro on a stick, is amazing. So taking that, and of course, well, there you go. That's what I use. I just use this. It's a smartphone.
Yeah.
Who knew? So what I don't want to replicate what you're doing. So what I'm trying to do is talk to our members, promote UK manufacturing if I can. So when I was at Leyland Trucks last week, things like that, doing videos.
Great.
And asking the managing directors, what are the challenges that they're facing? What do they want the UK government to do? So but it's a new way of engaging with operators and raising the profile of the industry, because everything's evolving the way that we communicate. It's great.
Do you know what? That's really encouraging, Will. You said that you are there to champion British engineering. And it's almost like government has become a bit shy about championing our own industry for our own people. And it frustrates me massively that we look abroad, we look to other markets to bring us our vehicles. And the reality is we have the skills, we have the materials, we have the wherewithal, the history, and the latest technologies in this country to be able to have the most sustainable sector, as we've talked about with buses. You are brave enough to say that. Is that something which the SMMT holds as one of its key drivers? Is generate, or is it a personal thing?
Well, yeah. Let me just get this correct before I dig myself into a lot of trouble. The SMMT cannot favour UK manufacturing over the rest of the world. We have international members, so we would never say you should buy British. But as part of my role, I can engage with the manufacturing companies that are in the UK. But the interesting thing, John, is that every component that can go onto a zero-emission vehicle is manufactured in the UK. So you can actually buy it all here in this country. But yeah, the SMMT, no, we have international members. I cannot favour just UK manufacturing. But you might think, the government should be doing that, and there are others that also think that, but we cannot say that.
No, heaven forbid we should look after our own. I am a mole and I live in a hole.
Oh dear. So, Will, it's with all this video stuff. Is there a sort of thespian-esque because you mentioned arts right at the beginning? John, stop it.
Sorry, what did you say? Oh, thespian.
Thespian.
Thespian. My bad.
Yeah. But is there, because you mentioned arts degree and stuff like that? Was there that kind of desire to be on the stage and to that comfort with the camera and been speaking out and being the focus of attention?
Or is it just Paul?
I speak from experience, right? Yes, to me, I like being the center of attention sometimes, as long as I'm in control.
Yes, and it's always nice when you are the center of attention for anything, isn't it? Either your birthday or whatever. Anyway, I think when I was younger, maybe I had a desire to be on the stage or something like that. But then when I went to university, it was more actually the management and directing and things like that behind it. So, but I'm not, I'm not really a shy person. I'm comfortable with doing the videos and things like that. So, and luckily, there is support at SMMT for me to do that, and it's I think it's they've built up over the past year since I did the first one at the CV show last year. So I'm looking forward to seeing what maybe what I can try and do outshine you at the CV show this year, Paul.
I'm sure you will. But do you know what? The CV show was the venue for my first vlog, actually. So back in 2016. So a few years ago. But so before even you could put them on LinkedIn, there you go. You had to put it on YouTube and then upload it to LinkedIn. Anyway, long time ago. So what are you looking forward to most at the CV show, Will?
This year's CV show, I'm looking forward to. There's obviously the EV Café have taken their pavilion. There's down in the bottom right-hand corner, we've got Destination Net Zero, where there'll be a lineup of zero-emission trucks down there. But it's the 3-day seminar program, which I'm really looking forward to. And we've got a mixture of sessions. We've got introducing a zero-emission HGV fleet, introducing a zero-emission LCV fleet, safety, technology. On the Thursday, focusing on skills and Generation Z and how to recruit more people, because recruitment is a real problem. Every member I go to, they say they're having a problem with recruiting skilled workforce. So that's where we're going to focus on the Thursday. So that's what I'm really looking forward to seeing, what's taking place in that 200-seat theatre in Hall 4.
I'm fascinated to understand why sustainability matters to the SMMT. It's all about getting vehicles on the road, and you could just sit on your hands and have a quiet life and say, do you know what? We're just going to keep promoting the same old technology, but you don't. You've actually been quite brave and said, no, this is an integral part of transition and making sure that we've got the right vehicles doing the right job in the right way. Why is that?
Well, firstly, because we represent the whole of the automotive industry. So if we're not doing it, who is going to do it? And we work closely with government. So what we do, we ask our members, what are the challenges you're facing? And then we can go to government, represent them and say to them, this is what the industry needs. Like, the ZEV mandate or the legislation for the 4.25 ton driver license derogation. We're asking for that legislation to come forward sooner rather than later, because that will unblock the minibus market. That's really, there's a lot of minibus all held up because they're waiting for that legislation to come through, so they don't have to give the 5-hour driver training anymore and things like that. So that's why we're doing it, is because there's things for society we need to get to net zero. But if SMMT aren't doing it, then we're not going to push ICE vehicles, are we? Continue to say, oh, don't buy those zero emission vehicles, buy the ICE instead. So of course, as a trade association, that's what we should do, because all membership organisations should represent the needs of their members.
Good on you. I mean, the work that you do is absolutely critical, and we would be completely pushing water up a hill if it wasn't for an organisation like yours with massive resources and massive reach, focusing minds in Whitehall, where sadly minds are easily diverted to other less interesting things.
And let me just say, John, we don't just represent the vehicle manufacturers. There is another part. There's the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders. So we represent all of the specialist component suppliers as well. And as I said earlier, there's lots of them around the UK. So they are all developing products for the drive to zero as well. So it's important that we represent their needs as well.
Just can't wait to see you, Will, at the CV show. Do us a favour. Will you come on to the EV Cafe Village and come and talk to us and give us a hug, my friend, because you are a good person to know.
Of course I will. Of course I will. If I've got time, because I might be chatting with a minister or
it's
someone
been
like
really,
that.
It's been really lovely, everybody. Thank you for that. We'll move on and find somebody at the Road Haulagers Association to talk to imminently.
No.
Put your handbag away.
If I've got time. Right.
Of course I will. Of course I will.
On a serious note, Will, what are you most, because you're getting to see lots of cool stuff, right? What are you most excited about as we kind of think about the future? What are you most excited about that you can see coming?
Well, the thing that gets me most excited actually is hydrogen. And it's like, I've posted a couple of videos about this, but hydrogen vehicles are really going to be needed. Certainly for long haul trucks going up and down motorways, SMMT see them as playing a vital part of what we're going to need. So a mixture between hydrogen and battery electric trucks that are just running up and down motorways and things like that. And in the coach sector, hydrogen coaches is going to be really important, because they've got lots of tourists, they need lots of luggage space, and they don't really have the space for batteries. So hydrogen is going to play a pivotal role in the coach sector as well. But yeah, I think hydrogen is really exciting, personally.
Well, it's definitely interesting, and I'm suddenly alight with the number of questions, because obviously hydrogen takes up quite a lot of space as well. Well, at least it did, when I last saw it. But I think one of the key things for me is that we must test and we must learn and we must know from a factual point of view what is the most efficient, what is the most effective, what answers the questions that we haven't answered yet. So I'm curious to see how it comes out. We might sit on different sides of the fence, but I'm definitely curious to see where it all comes, and interesting that you see that as an exciting thing. So I guess there must be things coming. So that will be interesting to see. I know Stellantis are coming out with a hydrogen van this year, which could be curious. So
Yeah, that's right. They are bringing one to market next year because there are some van operators that need to go further than 100 miles. Their delivery routes are quite long. So some of them are looking for hydrogen-like commercial vehicles. So you're right. It's like they're going to come forward. But the government funding for the zero-emission road freight trial, they're going to fund up to 310 battery electric trucks and 60 hydrogen trucks. So we'll be able to get that data back to see actually what is the real world scenarios and the data back from this. Does it work? It's going to take 5 years for us to see all that come through, but it's going to be great to see how they develop. And time will tell and I don't think it's people say, oh, is it a Betamax VHS battle? It's not at all, because hydrogen will need to have its place, and along with battery electric trucks as well.
Very good. So I'm not going to argue with him. I will do one day. We'll have to have a conversation.
I'll have to get you along to the Southern City College in Birmingham, because they're taking delivery of a hydrogen truck for their students to actually do their training on, level 2 and level 3 training for technicians up there on a live hydrogen truck, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
So we'll have to get you up there.
I've definitely seen areas. So the Teva are a good example of where they mix battery electric and hydrogen, and that's where I definitely do see a real opportunity to extend like battery electric vehicles that have got significant electric infrastructure on them, and then they can create the right kind of hydrogen. And we won't get into all the different colours and all of the creation malarkey that goes along with hydrogen at the minute, but with green hydrogen, it certainly could be a fantastic thing.
But of course, the refueling infrastructure is key as well, and the SMMT are working with the government to say we need more refueling infrastructure for hydrogen vehicles. And it's like, battery in it, the chicken and egg. Do you get the trucks or the refueling first? And so, we're putting the case to the government that we need that refueling infrastructure in place for orders to be placed.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, Will, it has been. Go on, John. Sorry.
All I was going to say was I think we could talk for hours about hydrogen. And what I love about transport is that it's okay to differ. It's okay to have a differing view on how our infrastructure and our vehicles will develop over time. What we do know is we share one common goal, and that's to decarbonize transport and to have cleaner air. And so, I always come at this from the perspective of we need to collaborate, we need to work together, we need to hear each other and find the best solutions for each use case. And I know that the SMMT are key in doing that. So, Will, it's been fabulous to listen to you, and I cannot wait for you to say to the minister, listen, buddy, I got to go for a minute at the CV show. I need to see the EV Café for a hug. Bring him with you.
I'll bring him with. Shall I bring him over? Bring him over just for 5 minutes though. So one thing, guys, let me just say, it's great working for the SMMT, and the manufacturers have spent billions bringing these vehicles to market, developing the vehicles. So what we need is operators to have confidence to buy them. And the CV show is a great opportunity for operators to go along, go to some seminar theatres about introducing these fleets, go and look at the latest light commercial vehicles and zero emission trucks. There's going to be a lineup of those as well, and talk to the manufacturers about how you can introduce them to your fleet and start placing orders for these vehicles, because the manufacturers have spent billions developing them.
Indeed. Do you know what, Will? I think it's such an important message that we do get to the operators, because this is a joint effort. The ZEV mandate is on the manufacturers, but if we don't, as the operators, adopt that as our own, the costs will come down to us. I mean, I don't mean the costs will come down. I mean the fines and the potential stuff will cascade down into the prices that we have to pay. So we've all got a job to do. We've all got a job to do to clean our local towns and cities, to improve the climate as a whole. That's a big picture which we really struggle to get our head around. But we can get our head around local air quality, improvements in health, and all of those good things. But also, actually, just a nicer, way to drive around and get about. So the Commercial Vehicle Show is a tremendous opportunity to do that. It's on the 23rd to the 25th of April. We will be getting this podcast out very, very quickly, Will. So it will be out before the Commercial Vehicle Show happens. And we would encourage you to come along. There will be a registration link in the description for the podcast. Get along and see Will talking to a minister. He won't have time for you, but he will have time for the minister. Don't worry. Just smile, take a picture, and move on. No, I'm just kidding. It'll be great. It'll be great to collaborate together, to talk amongst like-minded people, but also to help people embrace new technologies and also really build on those relationships that are already in place. A fantastic relationship building kind of area, and it's so good to catch up with so many industry friends over the years. It's a great opportunity to do that. And no doubt on the SMMT stand at 3:30, join them for bubbles. That's great news. And so, Will, thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming on today. And we look forward to seeing what can happen in the future. So until then, do get onto the EV Café website, evcafe.org, and digest many of the other podcasts. Also, link in with Will on LinkedIn if you want to stay up to date with all the things that are going on in the manufacturer world. And of course, you can link with John and I as well, and the rest of the EV Café team. It's all about collaboration, and it's all about community. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
See ya.